हमारा जो फैक्ट्री अंडमान ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट जो कालीघाट में है, इसमें हम लोग कोकोनट ऑयल बनाते हैं, वर्जिन कोकोनट ऑयल और सोप, कॉस्मेटिक प्रोडक्ट्स भी बनाते हैं। इसमें हम लोग जो फ्रेश कोकोनट है उसको तोड़ के उसको हम लोग ड्राई करते हैं। जैसे ड्राई करने के बाद उसको छोटे पीसेस में काट के फिर से हम ड्राई करते हैं। उसके बाद में हम इसको कोल्ड प्रेस चक्की उसमें हम उसको पीस के फ्रेश तेल निकालते हैं। और जो सोप बनाने का जो प्रोसेस है, कोकोनट ऑयल से हमारा सोप बनता है। जो यहाँ का लोकल इंग्रेडिएंट्स है उसमें मिला के वहाँ उसमें हम सोप बनाते हैं। जैसा सिनेमन है, नटमेग है, पपाया, यहाँ का टर्मरिक, ऐसा हमारे पास में 10-12 वैरायटी सोप्स हैं हमारे पास, जो हैंडमेड सोप्स हैं। और हमारे कालीघाट की जो फैक्ट्री है वहाँ पे डायरेक्ट कस्टमर्स भी आके लेके जाते हैं। आप भी हमारे जो प्रोडक्ट्स है ट्राई करके देखिए, आपको भी पसंद आएगा।
This is my first visit to Andaman, and I have hardly seen any place so such neat and clean. So all the thanks dues goes to the citizens of this place, the administration also. I also like the civic sense of the people, the inhabitants over here. The traffic is wonderful, and you hardly see any police personnel on the roads. So that means the people themselves have a great civic sense, and they do follow guidelines and law. So with that, so big congrats to all of you. And now let me come to the today's agenda. It is regarding the transition of the Income Tax Act 1961 to the new Income Tax Act, which is 2025. And Income Tax Rules 2026. Now, as you all must be aware that recently also we had transitioned from CRPC, CPC to BNS. But that transition was over a period of decades that such a big change was made in the civil and criminal proceedings. Income Tax Act, we change every year. We bring amendments, we bring the provisions, clarifications with every finance act. So along with that, over a due period of time, the Income Tax Act kept on becoming thicker and thicker and complicated, right? So, and we had to keep the old provisions also, because certain things were concerned with the old provisions, and new provisions kept on getting added. So in the process, it became very complicated. Finance Act itself is a very complicated process, the law. So the Honorable FM, she had directed the department that we should bring simplification to the Act, reduce it, make it simpler for the people to understand, for people to follow. So with the Honorable FM's direction, the department worked on it, and in a very short period of time, the officers of the department formed teams, sub-teams, and then they worked on it. One draft was made. Later on, it was found that it is not working. Then they changed it again, and now we have the Income Tax Act 2025, which has been duly approved by the Parliament also. Now, I don't know how many of you are CAs or practicing chartered accountants over here, or lawyers. Okay, you must be aware about the legalities and all, the Income Tax Act 1961. Some section says section 1023, they go on and 47 subsections and subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then proviso to that. It has become really complicated. Only a professional would be able to understand. That too, in some cases, I think, if you read 222E, deemed dividend, just one paragraph is there, but then provided that notwithstanding this, and then you have, if you are in section 10, Then you have to go to section 2 to understand the meaning of what is meant by this over here. Provided that nothing contains as per section 2, you have to turn back to 2. So it became very complex. So now we have come up with 2025 Act, which is a very concise, precise act. Like earlier provisions related to exemptions which deal with NGOs, NPOs, schools, hospitals, though there were 3 sections only in that, 3 or 4, but to understand the actual mechanism of those 3-4 sections, you had to refer back to 1023, 1046, 17. The endeavor of this act is to first of all do away with all those archaic words, like as I said, notwithstanding that the person, make it simple. Notwithstanding could be replaced with some word like provided that this. And then it's a linear act now. No subsection sort of a thing. You want to go for salary section, there is one chapter for salary. Section 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no subsection this or that, cross-referencing is gone. Earlier there used to be, supposing if we had to give a mathematical proportion for some deduction. So earlier we used to define it in a paragraph. For example, if you remember 80HHC, 80% of this and that, and it was all described in words, which was very confusing. Now in the new act, all of this has been given in a table, chart form. So you know exactly, like the mathematical formula itself is there, you just put in the values and you will get what you want. It is not more like reading, you read this first and then this deduction will come that. So this is also one of the aspects of the new act. New act is quite thin, I think 537 sections are there. Rules are separately now, which is a part of the act itself. So this has been the department's endeavor to make the act simpler, not just for the tax practitioners but also for the citizens, for our taxpayers, so that they can also understand while going through it what are the aspects which affects them. In a simple formula, like I remember I had gone for a search one day, then search initiated in the morning, that at night around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, the assessee, he had agreed that okay, this much diversion they had done. They had not paid tax on a certain sum of money. So he was ready to, okay, I will disclose. But then how much he will disclose and how? So at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock at night, he called his accountant and called him income tax act लेकर 3 बजे हम लोग बैठ के उसको सिंपली समझा रहे थे, बट ही इंसिस्टेड नहीं मेरे को एक्ट से पढ़ना है. वी थॉट ओके तुम पढ़ लेगा, नाउ यू डू इट ऑन योर ओन. ही केप्ट ऑन एक पन्ना इधर, एक पन्ना फिर उधर, एंड देन ही ब्लास्टेड हिज अकाउंटेंट फॉर नॉट एबल टू एक्सप्लेन इट टू हिम. And we were telling him, see, we were initially itself telling you that this is the thing. We won't go out of the book. We will only take the due tax which is due to us. We will not take a penny more. So this is what we explained to you initially. But then you wanted to read the act and commit then. So at the end he wasted 1 hour of our time and his own time, frustration, anyway. So now I think if given in today's time, he would be able to work it out with the new one. So I think Arnab, can we start with the small outreach programs? Are there on YouTube also, Facebook, Twitter, all the social handles are there where you can get all the new changes which are being made. And one more important thing is that since when is it applicable? Now we have done away with, earlier there used to be assessment year and financial year. So now from now onwards, which is applicable, now we have started with it 1426. It's only tax year. One tax year means the year in which you earn money and the year in which you are supposed to pay your due tax on that. Now from when is it applicable? it is applicable in cases where proceedings have already been initiated for any financial year, assessment year. Proceedings which are already initiated prior to 1/4/26, for that old Act would be applicable. And any proceedings which are initiated in the case of any assessee after 1/4/26, new Act would be applicable. So with that, I would request my colleague to start a small presentation.
Announcement. As sir said, Honorable Finance Minister announced it on July 23, 2024 in our Union Budget Speech 2024, presented before Lok Sabha. To make income tax concise, lucid and easy to understand for a common graduate. Easy to understand for a common graduate. The very term used by the Honorable Finance Minister, it is easy to understand for a person with a basic educational inputs. Income tax bill first was introduced on 13th February. It was referred to Select Committee, 31 MPs. Select Committee reports presented to Lok Sabha 21st July. Original bill then withdrawn on 8th August. Income tax number 2 bill introduced in Lok Sabha within 3 days, 11 August. And bill passed by Parliament and presented as on 20.
Everyone, it is a distinct honor and privilege to stand before you today to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of the Income Tax Department, Station at Vijaya. First and foremost, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Principal Commissioner of Income Tax 1, Kolkata, Sri Manish Kanodia sir, for giving his valuable time out of his busy schedule. Sir, your inspiring words and insights have truly enriched this event. Words are not enough to thank the organizing committee, our volunteers, Disaster Management Department or Dept for their technical support, also the media personnel for their tireless effort behind the scenes. We must also acknowledge their generous support. Last but not the least, a massive thanks to all of you in the audience. Your enthusiastic participation and engagement has truly made this event a grand success. Thank you all once again for your presence and cooperation. Thank you.
Income tax proceedings started after 1/4/2026 with tax year concept will apply.
Educational content you can find in Karsetu, brochure, Sambhav session, comic books and Kar Sathi AI book.